Welcome, welcome, and happy Easter, happy Pagan, should I say, happy Pagan Easter weekend 2011. Welcome to Discussions. I am your host for Discussions, James Piranha Madonna, and I am here with my co-host and mentor, the one and only, the founder of Newsletters Censored in 1977, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, and we are here live at the Newsletter Censored Research Center in Northeastern New Jersey. How are you today, sir?
Very bad.
You're not feeling well?
Didn't you see outside?
It's raining.
It's raining. It's dark. It's dank. It's
dank? What's dank? Damp.
You ever been in a
what
damp
the hell's
dungeon?
dank?
Damp dungeon.
What is that?
Dank.
A hillbilly word? Dank?
That's not a hillbilly word. That's a decent dictionary word.
Dank?
Dank.
The fuck is dank?
D-A-N-K. Look it up.
I know dampness.
Google it.
Yeah, Google my balls. I know. Now you got me saying. I know that dampness is cold with humidity, and mugginess, like they use that term in the summer, would be heat and humidity combined.
Dank is everything and the cold.
Humidity. Okay, very well. Anyway, happy Pagan Easter, and this is the reason why I'm dressed up, because Easter, the Easter/Passover time of year, and I take a wild guess and say is probably the most important holiday overall, collectively, on the planet Earth, considering how many Christians and Catholics are on the planet Earth. What do you think is the estimated number? Over 1 billion?
I don't know. What about, I think Christmas economically outshines Easter.
Well, if you're thinking like a conservative capitalist, I would say, yeah. Well, if your priority is making moolah, profit over people, yeah, I would say Christmas outshines Easter. But as far as significance, as far as spiritual meaning, I would say, considering the fact that the crucifixion and death of Jesus
nothing to do with Easter, though.
Atoned our sins, but it has nothing to do with the modern
worship of the goddess Ishtar.
The modern day traditions of the pagan Easter. The crucifixion and death of Christ has nothing to do with the commercialized Easter that they celebrate in modern times in the United States. Now, you've mentioned the goddess Ishtar, right? Now, begin with how this paganism started with Easter.
Well, it's hard to say because it goes way back. So, but the
Babylon, Egypt, maybe, or
probably, but the taking over of the pagan worship of Ishtar by the Christians. See, it goes back to the worship of Ishtar and everything. This is sun worship in its essence.
Okay.
This is sun worship. So obviously, it goes way back.
Right.
Way back. But the Christians took over when they converted those people, and they held what we call now Easter on the same day, and they either willingly or non-willingly they disguised the original. In other words, instead of worshiping the sun, the S-U-N, up there in space,
right,
now they worship the Son, S-O-N,
okay,
of God. So they've sort of twisted and wrested all of this stuff and took it over.
Sort of like the early Christians wanting to celebrate holidays, and they adopted some of the Roman pagan traditions.
Right.
You know,
that's what the people
grandfathered some of the Roman traditions over to the early Christians.
That's right, because the people, they were used to that stuff. That's what they did, and they didn't obviously give it up in time, or want to give it up.
Now, of course, Jesus did not die on Friday.
Good Friday.
On Good Friday, like it says in the God Project, and with the Easter lie in the new issue of Newsletter Censored. Jesus did not die on Friday, obviously, and he most likely the crucifixion took place on another day, also
Wednesday, in that particular year.
In that particular year, right? And all the traditions you have now are strictly based on paganism and to make money. You know, like the Easter bunny, the Easter eggs.
Yeah, what do they have to do with, Jesus?
You know, the chocolates in the form of chickens and rabbits and...
little peeps, the little marshmallow peeps.
Yeah, I hate marshmallows. I despise it. It's like kryptonite to old James here. But isn't that based on fertility gods?
That's it. It's it.
You know, the Easter bunny and the eggs and all that fertility.
And the sunrise services in the morning, and getting up, and then the Easter egg hunt and rabbits. Yes, of course. It's a
Squooey Wascowee
fertility cult.
Squooey Wascowee Wittagway rabbits. That's Elmerfoot.
I'm hunting wabbits.
You're hunting wabbit?
Wabbits, yes.
Oh, you're hunting wabbit. So, seriously, folks, the traditions of Christmas as well as Easter, because it is pagan Easter weekend 2011, are based on paganism, and of course modern day free market capitalist America converts everything into a commercialized project, venue, whatever, and there you go. I mean, same thing when the Wizard Azibuko did a show called the St. Valentine's Day Massacre on Our Wallets.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, commercialize everything. I think St. Valentine's was from the Catholic Church. He was a pope, or he was somebody important in the Catholic Church.
He was made a saint, whatever he was.
Yeah, and of course Santa Claus, St. Nicholas had a connection there. I don't know if it was a man of Scandinavia or German descent, but some say he was a prominent figure at the time who gave gifts in the Catholic Church. But the history of all this can be found in the God Project in the newsletter. Okay, go to www.newslettercensor.com, and if you subscribe, you will get the fine detail, the well-researched detail on Christianity and the God Project and what the Bible really says, and all of the customs, all of the traditions based on paganism, and of course today commercializing, money making. And but they've been playing on the History Channel. They've been showing a lot of Jesus-oriented documentaries. The other day, it was about the fact that they found the tomb of the ancient Israelite high priest, Caiaphas, that turned Jesus over to Pontius Pilate, or had him arrested. And they claimed 2 Roman nails were found in the tomb, so of course they were searching for the magical nails.
Yeah, Jesus nails. Yeah.
And of course, all the rip-off TV evangelists.
Oh, they'll be selling them now. Little plastic nails.
They're plastic
for $20.
Well, even if they're metallic, they're replicas.
Oh, they ain't going to be metallic.
They're replicas of Roman nails, and they're probably quote unquote blessed with healing power. And there's and if you
holy oil,
if you tithe to the particular religious or rip-off organization, you will receive a blessed nail. Similar to this guy, there's this evangelist, this crook in Latin America. He claims to be Brazilian, but he's really from what I was told, Medellin, Colombia, and he has a branch in New York somewhere, Brooklyn or wherever. Anyway, he's on TV. It's funny as all hell. He has an aquarium, and he's got 2 shows. One show has like a 10-gallon aquarium with water in it. And he calls it the 7 waters of ancient Israel. You got a little water from the Sea of Galilee, maybe a little from the Red Sea, a little from the little salt maybe from the Dead Sea, or whatever. I don't know where he gets these 7 waters. But anyway, he probably gets
from the tap.
From the tap, or maybe from his toilet bowl. And people send him money, fools, of course, that are desperate for a magical sugar daddy figure to come and rescue them from all their problems. They send him money. These lemmings send the man money, tons of money, and they send their problems on a piece of paper, an index card, their petitions, and he puts them in the aquarium, in the water, and tells them that their prayers are, it's a direct line to God through the water. Then he has another 10-gallon aquarium with oil in it. I think he calls it the sacred holy oil of justice or some foolish thing like that. And he does the same thing. People send him money. They send their problems and their wishes, their little testimonial on a card, and he puts them in the oil. He submerges them in the oil. But it's shocking how many fools are easily suckered. Like P.T. Barnum once said, there's a sucker born every minute. How many fools are suckered into doing this that are desperate? They're desperate for help. That are desperate for instant push-button answers, and are looking for a daddy figure to come and just take away their problems. And instead, they pick these crooks. And it's similar to the commercializing of the Christian holidays of today. You're suckered into buying greeting cards. You're suckered into buying candies and this and that, and
Valentine hearts, chocolates in the box.
Going to the florist.
Florist, oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. You can go to a dollar store and get beautiful artificial roses that will never die, and they look perfect. Instead of getting ripped off. But why is it important to go through the same motions every year and feed these industries? Of course, conservative Republicans love it when you feed these industries. Like every year it's the same thing. And people are like lemmings. They're easily led. That's why we have a Republican Congress. People are lied to. The middle class are lied to blatantly. They don't know they don't do their research, just like they do not read their Bibles. They listen to these fools. I mean, not fools, these charlatans, I'm sorry. Whether it be Republican charlatans in Washington, your Dick Armies, or whether it be business people, corporate CEOs.
Like the Koch brothers.
Like the Koch brothers, or whether it be false prophets, like your Pat Robertson, your Joel Osteen, the Mr. Moneybags himself, your Harold Dumbo-eared Camping. Hold on for a second. Harold Camping, who knows when the end is. See, Jesus and the angels don't even know, but Harold Camping knows. I'm Harold Camping.
Isn't it next?
And the rapture is supposed.
Isn't it next month?
Oh yes, the rapture will be May 22nd, 2011. Yes, and I am, you're criticizing me. I am merely a humble, this is how he talks, a humble servant of God. Why are you picking on me? I am 90-something years old. I am a walking petrified sarcophagus with big Dumbo ears that's taken all your money. I'm a humble servant. You are not very nice. Yeah, okay, right. So he knows that he knows when the end will be, but apparently the Bible says Jesus and the angels do not even know. So all this collectively, your politicians, corporate CEOs, your false prophets, whatever, may throw in some infomercials here and there. Americans are easily suckered. Now, speaking of death and eventual resurrection and judgment, another industry, now that we're on the subject of death and possible resurrection, if you are one of the elected saved, is the funeral industry. Okay? Another ripoff. I got news for you. You know how you save a ton of money on funeral costs? Don't go to a funeral parlor and give thousands of dollars to those crooks for a casket and all this crap and a bigger plot. You know the shrink wrap, Reverend Dr. Bill, that they shrink wrap salami and cold cuts in a supermarket?
Yeah.
Well, you simply do this. You shrink wrap the deceased. You might not even need to embalm the deceased and use formaldehyde. You shrink wrap them in heavy-duty plastic. It sucks all the air out. Now the body is completely sealed, so if there's no air, there's probably no deterioration, decomposition. And then when you bury them, you don't buy a larger plot to bury them 6 feet down horizontally, parallel to the ground. You bury them vertically, straight down, maybe 7 feet. So now, instead of requiring a plot to accommodate, let's say, a 6 foot tall person, you don't need all that real estate. Now you buy a little plot, about maybe 2 or 3 feet squared, just enough to put a body down vertically. They're in the shrink wrap, go straight down 7 feet, and now you only have to buy a little plot like this.
How about if you cremate?
You don't need the casket. You don't need expensive caskets. Now you see, Republicans probably would say, conservatives like Chris Christie, and Donald Trump or whatever, all the
fish mouths,
all the bloated goldfish will probably say, "Oh no, this guy is trying to is anti-American. He's trying to take away business." Listen, your loyalty should be to one thing only: your wallet. Just like the Republicans. Save money on funeral costs. Don't get suckered in. And that is how you save money on funeral costs. Now, cremation, that's another story. It costs money to cremate. I wonder how much they rip people off to cremate.
I don't know. It's probably under $1,000. Maybe.
You know what would be a macabre?
As far as space goes, you got a little box. I have all my cats cremated.
All your cats are cremated.
So I have their ashes in a box. Small box.
Now, a good storyline for a horror movie would be somebody who takes cremation ash and mixes it with non-dairy creamer, so people could put it in their coffee and not even know it until he... That's kind of disgusting, right?
Yes, it is disgusting. Where the hell did that come from?
I don't know. It's a joke. It's off the top of my head. But this is it. Since we're talking about death and possible resurrection in the future, why get ripped off by the funeral industry? But anyway, aside from the pagan traditions, is there anything else connected with Easter that you would like to say?
No, except that they should read the newsletter. For crying out loud, I'm a little tired of all this. Every year it's the same thing, and it looks like people just are not open to learning.
No, they don't want to learn. Just take a look at Facebook and MySpace. People, all they want to do is talk about the music industry or sports or their own mundane little boring lives, everyday small talk. Nobody is interested in America. Nobody is interested in the fact that your country is just going right down into the abyss, into the sewer, because of your elected conservative leaders that put it there, and the lack of job market, or the environment is the planet is being destroyed. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about important things. They just want to go on and talk their bullshit on Facebook or Twitter or MySpace. Same old small talk. Unimportant things. Because anytime I post anything of importance, I get no response. Once in a big while, if I post something important, I get a response.
Were you on Facebook yesterday and the day before? Did you scroll down and read all the stuff or anything, or did you see my new paintings up there?
Of course I did. I put
my new paintings up there.
Your new paintings are in the William J. Eisenman.
No. On Facebook.
Yes.
When I click and share them.
What a cute doc.
People.
Yeah.
Were they up there? Because I can't see them on mine.
They're there.
Well, how come I can't see them on mine?
I don't know.
2 days I went there to see if they were there, and they're not there.
I saw them. They're there. They're in the William J. Eisenman watercolor painting painting gallery on the.
No, not in the gallery. When I put them up there.
Yeah, when you first log in.
When I first put them up there,
it tells you
share them with the group, my people.
Yeah.
So they should be there when in that list, when everybody's saying stuff.
They were in my list.
They were?
Yes, they were.
Well, they're not in mine. I don't know why.
The PC and the one you call Sharon were there.
Right,
I have no idea what that donut-shaped thing around Sharon is.
That's the circles of life.
You should have just did a portrait of her.
Circles of life. Okay. Gee.
Like a flotation.
It looks like one of them plastic pools.
For a swimming pool. Looks like a flotation device. But anyway, they're there.
Oh, well.
And check them out. But I'll be doing a promo later on. This is a self-portrait of the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, watercolor painting. But I'll be doing the promo later on. I feel lost without my shillelagh, my blackthorn shillelagh. But I figure shillelagh doesn't go with dressing.
I'm sure some Republicans are very happy that you don't have the shillelagh.
Well, Republicans, conservatives, I have my progressive liberal colors here, blue, not a red tie, blue, even though I have a red tie, but it's not completely red. But this is it. The most important holiday of the year, overall, collectively, worldwide, is in significance, is the death and resurrection of Jesus, even though he did not die on Friday, and Easter Sunday, is not the real Easter Sunday, most likely. It is Saturday, April 23rd.
Yeah.
April 23rd, 2011. This is Pagan Easter weekend. And, I want to congratulate Snooki for losing all that weight. Way to go, Snooki. She's looking great.
What is she using?
I don't know. I hope she's not taking, diet pills, drugs to lose weight, because, that whole crowd is into partying, so they would not hesitate to take drugs. I hope she's doing it the natural way. I hope she's staying away from sugar and refined carbohydrates and doing the proper Atkins diet. But she looks great.
Speaking of the Atkins diet, there was a little story on, I believe it was World News Tonight, with Diane Sawyer, if that's the program she's on.
Yeah.
They're now using the high-fat cream, heavy cream, and bacon, and high-fat for epilepsy. In other words, the ketogenic diet for epilepsy.
Is it the essential fatty acids that are helping epileptic people?
It's fat itself, which, like in the Atkins diet.
Right.
That's what it's based on. In the Atkins diet, when you put the fat into the diet, you create, and you lower the carbs. You no longer have the glucose to run the brain.
Stabilizes blood sugar.
Yeah, but in epilepsy, they're interested in how it affects the brain. So what happens is, when the glucose is not there, the brain actually prefers ketones as its
source of energy. If you gave the human body a choice between ketones and sugar, isn't it funny how it'll choose ketones?
Yeah. So that's what happens in epilepsy, is that they are giving the ketones to the brain, and it is solving the problem of their epilepsy.
Oh, great. Well, aside from that, I want to say that finally, after all these years, the National Multiple Sclerosis Society has finally come clean, and their neurologists have said that vitamin D helps significantly multiple sclerosis patients, which is an autoimmune disease, and they're recommending as much as 2,000 international units, up to 2,000 international units per day for MS patients, and they're saying wonderful things about it, and the videos are on YouTube, on the internet. Check it out. Top neurologists are coming clean and finally admitting that a simple, inexpensive, lowly supplement like vitamin D, and I would take it with vitamin A, by the way, is helping MS patients.
And B12. There's a lot that has to be
and my friend that has MS, she finally is enthusiastic about going out and buying vitamin D. All the years I told her about vitamin D and MS connected to people of color, African heritage, and Hispanics of color, that because of genetics, that when they move to a northern hemisphere and they do not get the ultraviolet UVA, UVB radiation, there's some connection there, and they come down with MS, that they most likely have a vitamin D deficiency. And lo and behold, she told me the other day that her doctor said to her, you have a vitamin D deficiency. And now between her doctor saying it and the MS Society neurologists coming clean and admitting that vitamin D helps, she's going to go buy the vitamin D and take it.
Right, about 25, 30 years late.
She's going to be taking it. She's going to be taking the 2,000 international units. That's recommended. I thought it was 1,000 international units, but apparently it's 2,000. And you know what's funny? They don't believe, if Gary Knoll preached it on the radio, they won't go for it. As soon as a fucking MD from the National Society,
or a consensus of MDs,
right, drug pushing doctors,
right,
from the Society of whatever the affliction, every affliction has a society. Now once the society says yes, alternative medicine works wonders, yes, nutritional supplementation of this, that, and the other thing works, then they go out and buy it and take it.
However,
religiously, every day they take it.
However, one thing they do not do is say, we've been wrong.
They do not admit to people like us that promote alternative medicine, holistic health, nutritional supplementation. That friend of mine, that old friend of mine, did not say, James, I want to apologize. You've been right the whole time, and I've been wrong. No, they arrogantly dismiss the fact that I've been telling this person to take vitamin D for years. I even showed an article, but because the article came from holistic health and alternative medicine,
dismissed.
That's not enough to get them to take the supplement.
Right.
Oh no, they have to have the neurologists do it. Anyway,
now for instance, in the Reagan administration,
the demon
there was
Reagan.
a man named Tozzi, T-O-Z-Z-I.
Was he
he was in charge.
Podiatrist?
No, he was in charge.
Tozzi, get it?
He was in charge of a situation that came before him involving aspirin. Aspirin, when given to children, can have cause Reye's syndrome. Reye's syndrome. R-E-Y-E-S.
Uncontrollable desire for rye bread?
Well, anyway, what happened was they wanted to label the aspirin, saying that this was a possibility. And he did not allow it. And what happened was many children died because of that situation. No labeling to instruct parents and etc. how to conduct with their children and aspirin. Many years later, he was still proud of the fact that he had done that and did not allow the labeling. Now that's an example of what I just said. They never admit when they're wrong. And who suffers? For their wrongness?
The patient. They do.
That's correct.
The afflict.
That's correct. Just like with Vioxx. The thousands of people who died.
Patrick Swayze scoffing at Gary Knoll when Gary Knoll said he has cured many people with pancreatic cancer. I don't believe, Patrick Swayze says, I don't believe in all that nutritional shit. He scoffed at it, all that whole alternative medicine crap, blah, 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 blah. And, he's, like Dr. Bill says, now he's taking the big dirt sleep.
Yeah, that's right.
When it's too late, what does somebody tell Michael Landon got a cancer? They told him to juice carrots. Meanwhile, Michael Landon's blood sugar went sky high from the carrots.
Arthur Ashe, the tennis player.
And that's the only thing he took, right?
The black tennis player with the HIV way back when. Same thing. You didn't go that route. I would have put them
on mega doses of that wonderful organic Nutrex Hawaiian spirulina that I'm taking. That's an outstanding source of natural beta-carotene, carotenoids, and detoxifying chlorophyll.
Did you check how
as well as minerals and everything else? What?
Did you check how much B12 in it? Because spirulina has B12 too.
Spirulina and tempeh, for you vegans out there. Tempeh is a soy product from Indonesia. Spirulina and tempeh are the only reliable vegetarian sources of vitamin B12, the only ones. And they're both quite rich. Of course, tempeh gets its B12 from the yeast, from the mold that grows on it. And then the spirulina has it also. But I have not checked out on the potency. But if you're a vegan, I would still take nutritional supplemental sublingual B12. Sublingual, you can, Twin Lab has it and whatever, they go under your tongue. And take high B complex with every meal, 50 to 100 milligram vitamin B complex. Despite the fact that you're eating the tempeh or taking the spirulina. But no, I have not checked out the amount. But for those that want to embark on vegetarianism or veganism, you have to do your research and do it properly. You have to know how to combine foods and everything for protein, amino acid balance, and everything else. But now, you have any articles here? I'm sure you do.
I do.
Before our first break, maybe we can bang out a couple.
A high-fat ketogenic diet, what we were talking about,
pick of the devil, there we go,
may reverse the kidney damage caused by diabetes. Past research has shown that lowering blood sugar through diet can prevent kidney failure but not reverse it in patients with diabetes. Lead author Charles Mobbs, a neuroscientist at Mount Sinai Medical Center in New York, said that this study, in which mice were fed a high-fat diet of 5% carbohydrate, 8% protein, and 87% fat, was the first to show that dietary intervention alone is enough to reverse kidney failure caused by diabetes. This finding has significant implications for the tens of thousands of Americans diagnosed with diabetic kidney failure. This is hopeful news, but there's a serious problem.
Yeah.
Following a ketogenic diet is brutal.
Brutal?
A November 2010 article in New York Times Magazine.
I know why. I'll let you finish this.
Detailed one family's experience putting their young son on the diet to treat his epilepsy. The boy isn't allowed to eat such staples as cookies.
Oh, poor baby.
Macaroni and cheese.
Oh, he can't eat shit. Oh.
His mother has to weigh every morsel that passes his lips. At the time the article was published, he had been on a diet for almost 2 years. We figured that in an average week, Sam consumes a quart and a third of heavy cream, nearly a stick and a half of butter, 13 teaspoons of coconut oil, 20 slices of bacon and 9 eggs.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Wrote the boy's father. Mobbs and his co-authors admit that the ketogenic diet is probably too extreme for chronic use in adult patients, but they suggest as well that it is plausible that only transient exposure to the diet will reset the pathological process.
Oh, man.
Or it is possible that a pharmacological intervention that mimics these effects might be sufficient to reverse the pathology. While it may sound nice to chow down daily on butter and cream, it's not something most people would want to do for any extended period
of time. Because they're brainwashed by the American Dietetic Association and the establishment. I'm glad you read that article.
I thought we all ate too much fat the way it was.
First of all, it is refined carbohydrates and sugar and the increase in blood sugar and the increase in insulin that creates the bad LDL, low-density lipoprotein cholesterol and triglycerides. It is the high blood sugar that creates excess body fat and obesity. They call it Syndrome X, the yo-yo diet syndrome, insulin resistance. It is not the dietary fat and cholesterol that causes these problems. You've been lied to by the drug-pushing allopathic medical association, you know, the American Dietetic Association, and all these people with master's degrees that slap together that crappy garbage hospital food that they give you. Anyway, fat, things like butter and coconut oil, first of all, the natural saturated fat from foods like butter and cream, especially butter, and many sources of animal fat like that are rich in fat-soluble vitamins, vitamins A, D, E, and K. Also, the body, in order for our bodies, both men and women, to manufacture important essential sex hormones, it requires dietary cholesterol. That is the raw material for making sex hormones. And the body needs the essential fatty acids in fats to stabilize your blood sugar, so you do not get hungry while dieting. You don't get the munchies, because you get the munchies because your blood sugar crashes after it goes too high. Of course, the doctors put you on a high-carb diet, and they don't tell people the real truth. Coconut oil is saturated fat. A medical doctor will tell you coconut oil is bad. Oh no, coconut oil contains medium-chain triglycerides, which are very beneficial, very healthy.
It has healing properties.
Energy source, healing properties.
Best to cook with.
Great to cook with. It's solid at room temperature, true. South Pacific Islanders swear by it. You know, it's a very healthy food and can be found in health food stores. That's right. Coconut oil, medium-chain triglycerides. Palm oil, I hear, is red palm oil is very rich in natural beta-carotene, among other things. So, you know, all this misinformation that people are getting about the ketogenic diet and about fats. This child, well, if anybody with a brain affliction should be taking omega-3 fish oils and lecithin granules. You know, especially older people, the elderly. You know, you have the lecithin as phosphatidylcholine and phosphatidylainositol and essential fatty acids. And, of course, fish oil has DHA.
We should all be supplementing. That's the byword.
And do not demonize fats, essential fatty acids. The number one deficiency in America by the late great Dr. Robert C. Atkins, and most likely, yes, Carlton Fredericks, essential fatty acids are America's number one deficiency. Anyway, next article, before we go on break.
Have you studied climate change in school? Most of the world's scientists agree that our planet is warming. We are already seeing changes to our climate. Scientists expect we will notice these changes much more in the coming years. Climate is the average of an area's weather over a long period of time. For example, in Alaska, the climate is much colder than in Florida. Experts usually say there is climate change if there are changes lasting for at least 30 years. We are seeing that throughout the world. Many scientists are now using the term climate change instead of global warming. The temperature of the air above the Earth is rising, but that is just one of the several changes in the world's climate. Some of these changes include the 1980s broke all records for heat across the planet. Then, the 1990s broke the 1980s record. The 2000s broke the 1990s record. In the past 30 years, each decade has broken the previous heat records. The Arctic ice has been getting smaller and thinner each summer since 1979. The area of summer Arctic ice has decreased by about 300,000 square miles. This is enough to cover both Texas and Kentucky.
Wow.
Sea level has risen 6 to 8 inches over the planet in the past 100 years. Precipitation falling to the earth has increased over much of the world in the last 100 years.
That's rain to you people that don't know what the word means, precipitation.
Get a dictionary. This is brought...
Should have my shillelagh with me now.
I used the word askance the other day on the computer.
Scants?
Askance. You know, looking askance at something.
What does that mean?
Looking to the side or something. Looking.
Yeah, but these jabronis on the internet wouldn't know what the fuck you're saying.
Is that a word? Is that a word?
Is that a word? Is that a word?
I said, look it up.
Gee, look it up. Study, research. Isn't that something very foreign to America today?
Anyway, this extra rain here has brought about flooding to areas such as Australia. Drought, or a long time with dry weather, has increased in some spots, including much of Africa.
Including? What was that? Your voice suddenly went high.
As Arctic ice shrinks, polar bears have trouble getting food.
Yeah.
They hunt on the ice floes.
Yeah.
The year 2010 tied with 2005 as the hottest year ever recorded for our planet. The average global temperature was more than 1 degree Fahrenheit hotter than the average of the previous 30 years. In 2009, the Red River in North Dakota flooded, reaching 40.8 feet, a record high. Climate change will likely bring more rain and snow and more flooding. I think the Red River is flooded now.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well,
up there.
The biggest culprit, besides fluorocarbons from the petroleum industry, you know, the G.W. Bush and Daddy Bush's buddies, besides the fluorocarbons going into the air, of course, the destruction of the Earth's vegetation is the major contributor to holes in the ozone, right? The lack of oxygen to
more trees.
Carbon dioxide ratio of oxygen.
More trees,
we need
less
more
parking lots.
Less strip malls, less retail malls, strip malls, less parking lots. Of course, if you leave it up to conservative Republicans, they will level any mountain that has anything that can profit a business.
They'd asphalt their own mother.
Yeah, like anything that can be extracted from a mountain, you can be sure that conservatives and corporate America will be there to destroy the mountain and all of its inhabitants to extract the natural resource, so they can exploit. Same thing with over-harvesting, over-hunting, you know, animals that have become extinct because of over-harvesting. You can blame conservatives for that, because it's all about money.
The actor Ted Danson, remember from Cheers?
Yeah.
That's his big thing right now. Is he's got a book out called Oceana. He is interested in preserving the
reefs,
fish, because they are over-harvested.
Good for him.
You know.
Well, it's really, you know, it's about greed, and greed will be the destruction and the demise of the planet Earth. You know, and of course Republicans love greed. I mean, they'll have profit is before people, money is their god, and the bank is their churches. And of course they have progressive liberals demonized, but you know, we are much closer to the God of the Bible than they are, than conservatives are. And to you Democrats and middle class people out there that have been suckered to believe in Tea Party lies, I know I say this over and over again, but the economy has never been better, and the job market was never better when we had a high 91% tax rate on the rich way back when. And FDR's second Bill of Rights would have solved most or all of today's problems. And let's see.
But that's assuming.
Ronald Reagan shifted the tax burden from the rich to the middle class and the poor in the 1980s.
He did a lot more than that. I hope to have something, maybe in the next article I'll do something on Reagan. But you're assuming that the government is set up in some way or fashion to help those on the bottom, lower down, but it's not.
We're not under conservatives, they're not.
Yeah.
Well, look at
set up to help to continue the oligarchy.
Look at the oligarchy, the corporate plutocracy. Well, look at G.W. Bush and Cheney. They attempted to destroy, what is it, the First and Fourth Amendment of the Constitution?
Fifth, Sixth, and Eighth.
Fifth, Sixth,
more than that.
Now,
they're not attempted. It's done.
They've done. Ah.
Yeah. Did Obama ask the Congress to rescind these? Is Glass-Steagall back in effect?
No. And how come it's always outside entities that want to bring G.W. Bush and Dick Cheney up on war crimes, and never the Democrats in Washington? It's always other people that want to investigate Bush and Cheney and try them on the war crimes, which happens to be in the news as of late. Did you run across any articles about the Bush-Cheney war crimes? And
no, only that the everything that they said was covered up. The truths are coming out now that Iraq was all about the oil and making money for their cronies in business, privatizing the war effort with the Blackwater and the security people. That's what it was all about. So, but that was all covered up.
They never pursued it. Democrats never pursued the Democrats.
No, the Democrats accepted everything. They went along with everything. They're not pursuing anything. No. There must have been some sort of gentleman's agreement. When Bushy was leaving office. Please, don't come after me, please. No, investigate me, please, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, like a go-go bar is a gentleman's club. Yeah, sure. Anyway, it's time for break, and then we will be back, of course, shortly with more articles here on discussions, coming to you live from the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey. It is a Pagan Easter weekend, 2011. Greetings, we are back. And this is Discussions, coming to you live from the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey. And I'm your host, of course, for Discussions, James P. Madonna. of Mega Life 21, the hardest hitting internet talk radio station on the planet. And I'm with my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, from the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey. And it is Easter weekend 2011. Happy Pagan Easter 2011. Saturday, April 23rd, 2011. And we already, in the early part of the video, we already went over Pagan Easter. And now I'm going to do a promo, now that I have time. While the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is busy eating his lunch, I am going to do a little promo. I was talking to, off the air, I was talking to the Reverend Dr. Bill about a show I was watching on the Travel Channel, all about the most popular barbecue joints in Texas, and man, it got me hungry. That should be like the America's national food. I mean, there's nothing like Southern barbecue. You know, there's nothing like it. Low and slow. Wood smoked, old-fashioned wood charcoal, low and slow barbecue. Whether it be brisket, whether it be pulled pork, whether it be baby back ribs, or big giant Fred Flintstone ribs, or pork shanks, you name it. Roast pig. Actually, Andrew Zimmer was in Puerto Rico. There's a town dedicated to roast pig, lechon, as they say in Spanish, where you don't waste anything on a pig. I mean, actually, if you're going to be an animal, if you're going to be an animal, do not be a pig, because
they take everything.
You're in trouble, man. They say like no pig is safe in what is it? Germany or Eastern Europe. No pig is safe. No pig is safe in the South either. Everything. My friend that has the multiple sclerosis, she says, in the South, everything has a piece of hog in it.
Yeah. Ed Schultz is calling the Republicans the hog party right now.
Actually, you know what? That's an excellent idea. They should change their symbol from the elephant, which is actually a very nice animal, if you don't piss it off, if you don't abuse it. They should change it to a hog, because look at their personality. Greed for money, greed for everything, just like a pig. They're always ready to take. They're like a skink. You ever see the lizard called the skink? They have short arms like a skink and deep pockets. Conservative Republicans, short arms. You see, I can't get to my money. I can't get in my pocket. Short arms and deep pockets. This is the hand they take with, and this is the hand they give with. Just like old bloated, chubby-cheeked, cherub, bloated goldfish, Chris Christie, Governor of New Jersey. I'm sure he will eat very well.
The bully of New Jersey.
Bully boy Chris Christie, the political bully. I'm sure he will eat very well tomorrow on Easter Sunday. And as well as all Republicans in their family. Now, I was reading something. Somebody sent me an email that, I don't know if it's the Obama administration or not, but they're working on changing the law where public servants in Washington, like let's say the Congress, cannot give themselves pay raises every year. They will have to accept the same health insurance that's available to all of us Americans. They cannot have special freebie health insurance, and they will not get the same retirement pensions that they've enjoyed. They have to pretty much deal with what the rest of America has available to them. And
that won't happen.
You don't think it's going to happen?
Hell no.
In other words, they like getting special treatment.
Of course.
Isn't that political corruption?
And besides that,
when you use taxpayers' money for your own benefit?
Yeah, but they make the laws.
So they're not about fairness.
Fairness? What the hell does fairness have to do with the United States government?
So it's about human...
And believe me, folks, I'm not blaming the government. I'm blaming those in control.
It's not the system. It's not the Constitution. It's human nature. It's those that are in control. And it doesn't seem fair that the rest of America has to retire, you know, with Social Security, and if they're lucky to have a full-time job for the rest of their life, maybe an IRA, and to have to pay into a mediocre health insurance plan, and meanwhile congressmen and senators get and governors get $175,000 a year with the very best free health care and the very best free retirement pension nest egg or whatever they get. No, they should get, they're public servants. What the article said was, what the email says was, that being a public servant in politics should be an honor and not a career. It's supposed to be an honor to serve in Washington, not a career. Makes sense.
That's why it'll never go anywhere.
Because it makes too much sense. It's about doing the right thing. Which...
That's why what I always say. It's not about Democrats, it's not about Republicans, it's not about liberals, and it's not about conservatives. It's doing the right thing.
Yeah, all politics is pathological. Now, I was on Facebook, and you remember George the Animal Steel?
Yeah.
Well, on his profile, he had some kind of political thing, questions and answers. It turns out that, I don't know how true it is, if it's really, I think it really is George Steele's profile, but it looks like George the Animal Steel, former wrestling legend, the Hall of Famer. It happens to be a conservative libertarian. I guess he has been fooled by conservative propaganda, just like the rest of the middle class in America. And I just left a few comments about why things are going on, the truth about why everything is in the crapper. And, you know, I don't know. It's people are always quick to believe the liars.
Yeah.
Than they are to believe the truth. I don't understand that. He's an intelligent...
The lie is halfway around the world before the truth pulls on its pants.
But he's an intelligent man. He was a college professor of physical fitness in Michigan. In Michigan, he's obviously, I've heard him interviewed. He's obviously a very well-read, intelligent man. Why are intelligent people believing conservative propaganda? It's incredible. It really is. But anyway, before I talk about the newsletter. See this guy? It's a self-portrait. Excuse me. Let me make myself... Oh, not yet? Okay. This self-portrait of the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is from the William J. Eisenman collection of fine watercolor paintings. You can find and view the entire William J. Eisenman collection of fine watercolor paintings by going to www.newslettercensored.com or www.myspace.com/Megalife21, or go to the William J. Eisenman Facebook profile, and if you see something you like, drop him an email, send him a message to Reverend Dr. Bill, ask him if the painting is still available, and the bidding starts at $500 each. You can purchase a genuine, including signed by the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman himself, one of his fine watercolor paintings. Okay, this happens to be the what we use for advertisement. It's a self-portrait of him, and he gets his power and energy from it. Like, what was that, Dorian Gray?
The portrait of Dorian Gray.
The portrait of Dorian Gray. All right, I'm just being a little helpful. I haven't disappeared. Anyway. Now, the newsletter, founded in 1977 by my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, Newsletter Censored, okay, contains the 5 taboos of American life, which is politics, religion, health, human sexuality and child rearing, and occasionally the current news topics of tidbits. And this is the new issue that is hot off the pancake griddle, titled "Listen, Little Man and Woman" by William J. Eisenman, Ph.D. And then it's a long article. This time it's a big one, and an outstanding one too. Followed by "The God Project" by William J. Eisenman, Doctor of Divinity. This is titled "The Easter Lie," which is very applicable to this time of year. Followed by "Sexuality, a Holistic Approach" by William J. Eisenman, Ph.D. And this one is a very deep subject. With in-depth probing. It is about anal sex. And I turned red. Even I turned red while reading it. Incredible. You know, it seems like if a woman is on the receiving end of fisting, that she may not need to spend money on sex toys, because the way fisting was described, I don't know how they do it or how they accommodate such.
How could a man compete? Is that what you're saying?
No. How do they accommodate something of such size?
Well, a baby's head comes out.
Not out of the ass. Oh, well, maybe
we're
vaginal.
Talking about right now. Are we talking about the anus, or are we talking about the
vaginal penetration? Right.
Yeah.
As far as the anus goes, I guess the G-spot gets stimulated, or vaginal, I guess. Well, what happens? The hand goes in straight. It goes in like a point, and then the fist is made. In general,
you make your fingers point
like that.
That's it. That's it.
So in fisting, excuse me, this is an adult-oriented show. In fisting, you could save a lot of money on sex toys, ladies, when you're watching this. It goes in like this, right? Like a point. And then once it's in there, then you slowly make a fist. Or quickly make a fist.
You can. You don't need to, but you can.
What do you mean you don't need to?
Well, I'm sure the pleasure or whatever is being involved here, besides the psychological portions, are pressure, pleasant pressure, the stretching, what men would call girth.
Girth,
large penis,
more important than length, even though they are touting their. I hear these penis extenders work similar to the native people, like Ubangis and the women of Indonesia that stretch their neck, the cervical area. That it works, but then again, if you bottom out, length is of no use, and I think the woman feels girth more than anything else. But anyway, so by making the fist, you're most likely giving a woman a greater feeling of fullness and hitting her G-spot. So all you lesbians out there, you could save money on sex toys.
What was that thing last week?
By utilizing fisting, huh?
What was that thing about the sex toys last week?
Oh, that was Spencer Gifts in the mall.
Yes, in the mall. Yeah.
Yeah, out in the open. Yeah, that was the other show from last week. But anyway, the best way to be a part of this organization is to get your free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored with your gift to support this work. You need Newsletter Censored in the end times. We are living in the end times, and you need Newsletter Censored. Learn how to defeat a conservative by subscribing to Newsletter Censored. There is more information in the newsletter than there is on our talk shows or on our websites. Get Newsletter Censored. You need Newsletter Censored in the end times. Okay. Extremely hard-hitting truth that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? Okay, now we're ready for some more articles.
All right, we're still on climate. Climate change does not affect every place the same way. Most places will see more moisture, but some places will stay drier. A warmer climate means more water will evaporate or change from liquid to gas. The liquid water is in our oceans or other bodies of water. Water, gas, or vapor goes into the air. The added water vapor in the air means that there will be more precipitation. But this moisture doesn't fall evenly across the earth. Some places get too much, some too little, some get just enough. If the air above the earth is warm, it can hold more water. So more rain or snow may fall at once, causing stronger, more destructive storms. But more time may pass between storms. As the climate changes, extreme weather increases. For example, New York City had record-breaking snowfalls in January. Last spring, heavy rains caused massive flooding in Tennessee and Arkansas.
We had the hottest summer on record, too.
Record heat waves spread across Europe and Asia last summer.
The U.S., yeah.
From February 1 to February 3, 2011, a giant winter storm spread over 2,000 miles of America, from New Mexico to the East Coast. Long periods of drought dry out trees and other plants.
Right.
This can lead to more wildfires. In the last 25 years, there have been about 4 times as many large wildfires in the American West as in previous years. These fires have also lasted weeks longer than wildfires used to last. This is mostly due to drought. But longer, hotter summers and more development in forest areas add to the danger.
Okay. Well, thanks to corporate greed, we have this global warming, and the planet is, it's ticking away. The time is ticking away concerning the demise of planet Earth.
Scientists do not have enough information to predict how climate change will affect hurricanes and tornadoes. We have seen an increase in hurricane strength in recent years. However, many hurricanes occur over the ocean. Until recently, no one has been able to measure how much power these hurricanes had. Since the 1960s, we have been able to gather hurricane data from satellites. But there is no historical record to compare what we are seeing now with earlier patterns. We have a similar problem with tornadoes. Although we have recorded more tornadoes in the last decade, we have only been able to accurately count the number of tornadoes since the 1990s, when Doppler radar was used throughout the country. We don't know if these storms are really fiercer or more frequent, or if we just have better recording equipment, or both. As the climate changes, people and wildlife will need to adjust. Animals may migrate farther north to avoid the heat. We can't tell exactly how much climate change has been caused by humans, but we know it is significant. For example, in 2003, there were record heat waves across Europe. Experts say human activities have made the risk of similar heat waves about 4 times greater than with nature alone. Rising sea levels will make storms more destructive as tides rise. Coastal flooding may increase. Some bridges and buildings may not last. Most experts believe human activities, such as the burning of fossil fuels like oil and gas, are a major cause of climate change. Computer models show that the planet will continue to warm even if we stop using fossil fuels completely right away. The Earth and oceans will take years to lose the extra heat. Depending on how much we lower our use of fossil fuels and how well our planet can adjust, the world's temperature could rise by 2 to 6 degrees by 2100. That's, what, 89 years ago? Ahead?
Yeah.
This doesn't sound like a lot, but even small temperature changes can cause big differences. For example, in the worst part of the last ice age, most of North America was covered by glaciers. But the planet was only 7 degrees colder than today. Many of our bridges and buildings were designed for a different climate. People may need to grow different crops. We will work it out, but we need to plan and change our habits. Better equipment and more storm spotters have recorded more tornadoes in the last 30 years. Changing temperatures and precipitation patterns will affect crops throughout the world. Some places will get more rainfall and will be able to grow more crops. Others will face drought and poor crops. And I don't believe that we will work it out, okay?
No, I don't believe it either.
If you can't get Republicans and Democrats together over the budget,
how are you supposed to save the planet?
Exactly.
How is Washington supposed to save the planet and stop the fossil fuel, emissions, the fluorocarbons, and stop the destruction of the rainforests down in Brazil and throughout the world and blah blah blah? Save the reefs and all this stuff. I mean, my conservative uncle forwarded me this article saying that the one of the largest oil deposits happens to be underneath a certain specified area of the United States, I believe in the Rocky Mountains somewhere, and they need to level the beautiful mountain range in order to get to the oil, and they're complaining, bitching and moaning that liberals and liberal environmentalists are putting a stop to it, and of course the conservative Republicans are prioritizing profit, oil company profit, but they're not coming out with it just like in that way. They're discussing the importance of not relying on the OPEC nations for petroleum products, for oil and everything, and we have to be self-sufficient. Why do we have to be reliant on oil? What about alternative energy sources? Why does it always have to be about oil, Republican Party?
Because that's the people who give them money for their campaigns.
Fuck oil.
Jeez.
Fuck oil. Go with alternative. It doesn't have to always be about petroleum, about oil. You see how these whores don't care about anything but themselves and their own pockets?
Right. Delegates at a global wildlife conservation conference voted Sunday to protect a coveted salamander, but rejected a more sweeping proposal that would have regulated the trade of red and pink corals worldwide. The latest round of voting at the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of wild fauna and flora underscored nations' unwillingness to forego immediate economic gains from exploiting natural resources, even when these activities are putting plants and animals under intense pressure. That's what you just said.
Right.
Okay. Profits. The 175 nations gathered in Doha, Qatar, unanimously voted to ban the international trade of Kaiser's spotted newt.
Okay.
A black and brown Iranian salamander, often sought as a pet.
Wait, what kind of salamander?
A Kaiser's spotted newt.
What is it indigenous to?
Iran.
Iran. Kaiser's spotted newt. So Persian people have pet amphibians too, right?
Guess so.
Pet shops? I didn't know.
According to the World Wildlife Fund, about 1,000 of the animals are left,
Oh, wow, that's not many.
and about 200 are traded each year. A website operated out of Ukraine serves as the main vehicle for the transactions. The measure makes it the first species threatened by electronic commerce to receive environmental protection. But delegates declined to adopt a proposal offered by the United States and Sweden that would have regulated red and pink corals that are targeted for the jewelry, home decor, and homeopathic medicine market. The 31 species that would have received protections are taken primarily from the Mediterranean and are used in the production of high-end jewelry in European countries such as Italy and Croatia, as well as cheaper souvenirs in Taiwan and China. Environmentalists and scientists argue that corals, which are living animals, and seriously threatened by rising carbon dioxide emissions that are warming the ocean and making it more acidic, cannot afford the added pressure of a commercial harvest. Nearly 30% of the world's tropical coral species have disappeared since 1980.
Wow, 30%.
Mainly because of warming, and an even larger percentage may have disappeared by the end of the last century. Coral harvesting has dropped from 450 tons annually in the 70s to 50 tons a year today.
Wow. Incredible. Incredible. And people do nothing. They do nothing about it. They don't collectively. The masses can get together and make miracles happen and change things around.
But they're too busy
but they don't.
Working paycheck to paycheck.
They're too busy.
Married to a corporation.
They're too busy kissing corporate ass. They're too busy worrying about the music industry, sports. They're too busy about their own stupid lives, their own boring, stupid fucking lives, doing the same bullshit day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. You know, instead of getting involved, you know, like I told you, Brian Slate, Tony Testosterone, told me, you know, we're not into politics. Oh, sure. Everything, your very existence, your standard of living in America, everything you do, everything, you know, monetarily has to do with making the wrong political choices. But people don't want to get involved. They really don't. Does anybody challenge Chris Christie at one of his stupid town hall meetings?
Some do, but he bullies them down. He bullies them down.
Oh, what? There's nobody that could raise their voice louder than that big fat piece of shit?
Mr.
Yeah.
And they buck heads now and then, but still in all.
I'll debate him. I don't think he can yell louder than me.
Yeah, well, debate is not the issue there because...
Can I bring my shillelagh?
What you got to do is undermine. There's the answer.
In other words, trying to overcome him with volume
and facts.
With vocal volume and facts is not going to do it.
Because he has an ideology, like the other Republicans.
But an ideology cannot be scientifically proven. You cannot prove an ideology.
But you don't have to prove it. That's exactly what the Reagan administration shows. It was all ideology. It got into law, didn't it?
Yes.
It got into policy, didn't it?
And undermining the Constitution got into law and policy also.
That's correct.
Wake up, listen up, Democrats and the middle class. You know, now we going to school. Now you listen to discussions and our hard-hitting internet talk radio shows, and you subscribe to Newsletter Censor, and you will go to school and be enlightened to hear the real
person. And be a different person.
Be a different person and hear the real hard-hitting truth.
Yeah. And understand it.
And not the conservative lies that you've been hearing. Yeah. So we got time for one more good article.
I don't know if it's good, but we got one here. Quitting smoking can turn back time.
Of course.
A year after kicking the habit, smokers' arteries showed signs of reversing a problem that can set the stage for heart disease, according to the first big study to test this.
Oh, gee. Finally?
Well,
they're acknowledging these things?
The improvement came even though smokers gained an average of 9 pounds after they quit. Their levels of so-called good cholesterol improved too.
It's the least of their worries.
Yeah. A lot of people are afraid to quit smoking because they're afraid to gain weight.
Oh, you're afraid of, but they're not afraid of emphysema and lung cancer, or throat cancer, or cancer of the mouth. They're afraid of their weight gain.
I wonder if they're afraid of the weight that is going to be on their chest when somebody's doing CPR. The new research shows these people gain a health benefit even though they pick up pounds that possibly can be shed once they've gotten used to not smoking. Smoking is one of the top causes of heart disease, and about 1/3 of smoking-related deaths in the U.S. are due to heart disease.
Along with sugar intake.
A heart attack often motivates long-time smokers to give it up. Quitting is known to lower the risk of developing or dying from lung cancer. This is the first major clinical trial to show it quickly improves artery health. Results were published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology and presented at the group's annual conference. In the study, 1,500 smokers were given one of 5 methods to help them quit. Nicotine patches, nicotine lozenges, the drug bupropion, sold as Wellbutrin.
Yeah.
That's a drug for depression, actually. And Zyban, or a combination of patches and lozenges, or the drug and lozenges.
Patented drugs, yeah.
A 6th group received a dummy treatment. After 1 year, 36% had quit, and it made no difference. You know, that 36% is like 3 percentage points over a placebo effect. I wouldn't say that's very impressive.
No, it's not impressive. That's the dummy. That's the dummy treatment, right? The placebo.
Well, the placebo is the dummy treatment. Yes.
I don't want people to get confused and think that we're treating ventriloquist dummies or something. You know.
It made no difference which method they used. Before the study started, and 1 year after smokers quit, doctors did ultrasound tests to see how well blood vessel linings relaxed and handled blood flow. Using a tourniquet, they stopped blood flow in the forearm for a few minutes. then measured how a major artery responded when the flow was restored. It's a valid test and is considered a good sign of how healthy the heart arteries are. Doctors found that artery function improved 1% in the quitters. That may not sound like much, but research shows that it translates to a 14% lower risk of developing heart disease. It's a small improvement at 1 year. The question is, do these folks keep getting better? The study is continuing another 2 years to provide an answer. London-based GlaxoSmithKline
Here we go.
PLC provided smoking cessation medicines for that part of the study. And several authors have research funding from the company. The federal grants paid for the artery study. Should we trust that?
No.
Thank you.
Federal grants paid for the artery study. Or pharmaceutical...
Given for free.
given for free. You know what? If it can't be patented, the drug companies, along with the FDA and all the political whores that are in bed with them, will not bother to spend money on a good double-blind placebo study.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you can't patent Mother Nature. And, of course, the right thing to do, the fair thing to do, is to tell people the truth and say, hey, this nutrient works a lot better than the drug, and it's natural with no negative side effects. That would be in a fair world, in a nice world. But no, there's not. Listen, there's tons of evidence to support Mother Nature and alternative medicine and nutritional supplement. There really is. It's out there. It's just that
Gary Null mentioned the like 500,000 studies, something of that nature.
500,000 studies to support which subject, or is it
the, you know, supplements and all that stuff
overall
together? I believe. Yes.
Overall, collectively.
There's tens of thousands on vitamin C alone. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's just one. That's just one thing, one supplement. You know, I was amazed. You know how you tell me that there's a verse in the Bible that says in the end times information will be would rapidly accumulate as far as society goes, knowledge, technology.
Yes.
You know, I heard today that every 4 years the information that we have now is doubled. Isn't that incredible?
That's why,
compared to ancient times.
Yeah, of course. That's why, you know, who the hell can keep up with that?
That is amazing. And that goes with, that proves the verse in the Bible about...
Not only that, you know what happens?
In the end times.
We have plenty of information, but we're lacking knowledge.
And wisdom.
To handle that information.
We have the ability to store
exactly
all this information and double it every 4 years, but how about applying it?
Yeah.
Applying the information to live a better life, to improve your life, to improve your quality of life, your standard of living.
And the quality of life of the other person.
In a give way of life,
yeah,
instead of a get way of life.
Yeah.
There's no wisdom either. You know how you hear people say, well, good old-fashioned horse sense or street smarts is more important than education, book knowledge, education alone. Well, that's what we were talking about when we mentioned the word wisdom. You know, applying what you know, applying the knowledge. It's not because the quality of life is declining. Even though the information is doubling every 4 years, the quality of our lives is declining in the end times.
Look at just look at technology. Look at the hard drives for computers.
Yeah.
Same thing. Gigabytes, megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes. You know?
And
storing all of that information.
Right. Now, an example of knowledge not being applied in our with our modern technology for a better life would be, let's say, conservative right-wing fundamentalists stopping stem cell research. Stem cell research would definitely improve the quality of many lives of people who desperately need it. But conservatives, with their stupid, deluded ideology and their phony baloney counterfeit Christianity, they don't like stem cell research. So therefore, the people that are paralyzed and crippled will be that way for the rest of their lives. If you know.
And they, well, that's because they have this idea that God is looking out for everybody down here at this particular time, and wants to save everybody's ass, and it's not true.
And then everybody's that's saved is just because they repent, they're automatically saved under this dispensation of grace, the blood of Christ, and they're going to be raptured in the sky. You know, like Mr. Moneybags, Joel Osteen, thinking that you can have a conversation with God and He'll give you the perfect parking space.
Time magazine.
Yeah.
I believe it was last week.
Yeah.
Had a thing on this pastor just wrote a book on hell.
Oh, he knows.
No, he didn't know anything about it, really.
Yeah. Then what did he say in the book?
Well, you know, the old traditional crap was in there.
Dante? Is Dante's Inferno?
Yeah, that kind of stuff was in there. But as to what hell was, and they even did not understand Hades. They did not understand Gehenna.
Means the grave, death.
Yeah, but they didn't understand how it connected with other verses in the Bible, which showed that the bad human beings that are incorrigible and will not repent and will not change are going to be burned. That's it. Period. Ashes. Blown to the wind.
Yeah, well.
Eternal death.
Yeah.
Now, the ones that will be in a fiery place for all eternity are the Lucifer, Satan, and and his demons.
Lake of fire.
Some form of lake of fire. Yeah. That's what they. But how they, but the thing of it is how they translate all of this stuff that's really in the Bible. He even mentions the city, the New Jerusalem, and etc. But he doesn't get the idea of God the Father coming down here with His throne and making this the headquarters of the universe when it's right there in Revelation 22. How much more clear can it be?
Yeah, and the right-wingers will say, would justify the existence of an immortal soul that flies out of your body by reading the verse. You say it's not in the Bible. What is it? Absence with the body is one with the Lord? Something like that? Something of that nature?
But it has nothing to do with that. Whatever the verse is in context and alluding to, it has nothing to do with souls and immortal souls.
They don't know about the red thread. They do not know how to connect different parts of the Bible.
It's not their fault because they were not to know it. This is the problem.
Their eyes were not opened up.
Jesus was here speaking in parables, which they believe was to make it easier for His dopey people, His common people to understand.
Mm-hmm.
When in fact Jesus says it Himself. It's not for them to understand. That's why He's speaking in parable. The Bible was not meant to be understood by the vast majority of human beings.
Well, Jesus was here to bring the message to the Jews, and Paul was here to bring the message to the Gentiles. That's why many right-wing fundamentalists think very highly of Paul's writings.
Yeah, but the point is that they believe that they can come to God, and they can't. They will not accept the fact that they are not involved in this first resurrection.
They think it's their choice to be saved. They put too much power in themselves.
Or they can go to the right church. Or listen to the right pastor, or they can read the Bible from cover to cover. This is the big thing that they believe allows them to learn about the Bible.
I know somebody.
You read it from cover to cover. I read the Bible from cover to cover.
You know,
I read it 7 times.
Well, you know something? I happen to know a Republican, a conservative Republican, big mouth Tea Party protester who made that statement. I have, quote unquote, I have read the Bible from cover to cover. And every time there's a holiday, he brings out the Bible. Oh, okay. So that makes him an expert, an authority on the Bible?
I used to know a guy in high school. Like
Archie Bunker. Remember when he used to bring out the Bible during, what was it, Thanksgiving, and the meathead, he tried to convert the meathead into being, converting him from being a liberal to somebody like him, a conservative bigot and a Christian.
Well, then, so that's what that's like I say, it's not their fault because it was not for them to know at this time. There are 3 resurrections. The first being only of the elect, the second being those who survived the tribulation, etc., and will live in the 1,000-year period, the millennium.
The millennium.
And then the third resurrection, the great white throne judgment, when everybody who has ever lived will be raised up to be judged.
Okay.
Or given their 100 years or whatever and go through their lifespan and then be judged.
And you said...
so nobody's up in heaven. I mean, where, with all of this, where is this heaven stuff? And then if God's going to bring his throne down here...
Jerusalem.
After the millennium, well, what the hell, who's going to be in heaven? And what the hell is that all about?
And you said God's purpose ultimately is to reproduce himself throughout the universe?
Yeah, that's another thing. They just don't understand that part of it. What the hell do you think God is doing? Jesus says he's the first of the first fruits. He's showing you how it's going to be done. Mm-hmm. You live your life, you croak. If you've repented and had God's Holy Spirit, you get raised up and you become a God yourself.
Yeah.
Okay?
If you have God's Holy Spirit,
right,
which is not in your power.
No, he gives it to you.
Right, see?
You must allow him to, control your life. He becomes your conscience or whatever you want to call it.
Then sin becomes not of your nature.
That's correct.
After that takes place.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't choose to sin. I mean, God could sin any time. Jesus, when he was here, he could have sinned any time. The whole goddamn experiment would have went up in smoke.
The temptations.
He had the temptation just like we have every day, but he didn't do it. But just think of what would have happened if he did. The whole program would have went down the tubes.
Yeah.
There'd have been no reproduction. There would have been no other gods. But that is what's going on down here. God is he's a broodmare.
A broodmare. Now, you were going to say something about a friend of yours? You were going to tell a story?
Oh, yes, a friend of mine in high school. We didn't go to the same high school or anything. He began studying the Bible and etc. like that. He used to carry it to school with him every day.
Really?
Yeah. Some kind of statement he was making.
Really? He was like showing off, trying to make himself self-righteous, perhaps?
I think so.
Interesting.
I think so.
Yeah, he was like, sounds like a right-wing fundamentalist to me. In other words, he's closer to God than you because he carries the book. Ah, interesting.
It's like those people who like to pray in public.
Right.
What
about the people?
Look how self-righteous I am.
What about the people who get all emotional? People who get all emotional with their hands up in the air, trying to speak in so-called tongues. Meanwhile, it's nothing but gibberish, and they're self-righteous. They're trying to make themselves holier than you. See, all this you're hearing now, you're not going to hear from your pastor or your priest tomorrow on so-called pagan Easter Sunday. You're not going to hear these things.
No.
You're not.
Sunrise services.
No. But tomorrow we will be playing The God Project by the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisman on our Mega Life 21 hard-hitting internet talk radio station, which you can go to newslettercensored.com, and it's right on top. The link is right on top. Just go there and you will be hearing it. We will be starting the God Project extra early because it is Pagan Easter. Extra early until late at night. So you will have the honor of being educated involving what the Bible really says by the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. And there's a lot of room in the lake of fire for you people that don't want to comply with the real truth. Believe me, there's a lot of room in there, like a big jacuzzi. Like a big jacuzzi. You know, a lot of people that try to sabotage the real hard-hitting truth. Like, you know what I mean, Jelly Bean? My grandfather used to say that. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Sometimes...
That's what I said, Cabbage Head.
Oh, well, Grandpa used to say, you are your own worst enemy, and you cut your nose off to spite your face, and blah. You know what? He was right when he said that to people. You know?
He had wisdom.
Street smarts. He didn't finish high school. He had to leave school during the Great Depression to help support the family, but he had a lot of street smarts, a lot of wisdom. And he knew when I was a little kid, he says, don't listen to your uncle. He says a Republican will give you nothing. A Democrat may give you a few crumbs, but you'll get nothing from a Republican, and they are right-wing fascist reactionaries, he called the Republicans. Right-wing reactionists.
Demagogues.
Yeah, fascist. He was ahead of his time, man. And he told me, and he was right. My uncle says, don't listen to your grandfather, he's negative. No, it turned out that Grandpa was right. He wasn't negative, he was right. You know, but anyway, have a safe and happy Pagan Easter 2011, people, tomorrow.
Yeah, and eat dark chocolate.
Yes, very rich in antioxidants, but not with the sugar.
Not the milk chocolate bunnies. Okay?
Dark chocolate and
not them stupid Peeps. The marshmallow Peeps.
No. Hey, by the way, I had a great lunch. I had a great seafood.
Cadbury eggs.
I had a great... Fuck Cadbury. Stick them up your ass like suppositories. I had a great seafood buffet for lunch yesterday here in northeastern New Jersey. I ate all the fish. I had a coupon, $5.95, all you can eat, and I ate all the fish. It was high-end food, and they did not make any money on old James. I pigged out. I was like Homer Simpson, man, at Captain McAllister's The Frying Dutchman Seafood Buffet. I was eating all the fish. I left the meat behind, and for a mere $5.95...
No surf and turf, huh?
No, there was no lobster there, but I ate good. Hey, early bird special, man. Anyway, say so long to everybody.
Hasta la vista.
Say something about Easter. Like, you know...
yeah, well, study your Bible.
Sacrificial lamb?
Study your Bible.
Roast rack of lamb? Oh, study your Bible.
Started John 1, verse 1, please, instead of Genesis. Thank you.
You know, Ken Create told me... No, if you're new to the Bible, don't start with John, start with Paul. Paul wrote over 13 letters or something.
Oh my God.
Paul contributed more to the Bible than anyone else. Now, which is it? Is it John or Paul?
If you're talking in a historical sense, it's John.
The basics.
Paul is recent events, for crying out loud. That's 2,000 years ago.
You know, all the so-called...
John 1:1 is probably... billions of years ago.
So there you go again with when you're dealing with the holy rollers. You got all these experts that think they know the Bible and think they know how to interpret it. And you know, of course, he's a dispensationist, a rapturist, the grace period guy. You know, he follows that approach to the Bible, and you know, Dr. Bill follows a different approach.
You know, as I said before,
yeah.
There's a liberal approach, there's a conservative approach, there's a Democratic approach, there's a Republican approach, and then there's the wrong way and the right way. There
you go. Now the right-wing fundamentalists, they admire people like Chris Christie. They think he's got spunk. He's got balls.
Are you kidding? Strauss and Ayn Rand are their heroes.
But they love all this chopping away at social programs and cutting the police.
That's the way to get slave labor.
Cutting the police force, cutting public service, the Department of Public Works, cutting this, cutting that, cutting teachers, cut, chop. Because why? Because they have made themselves the heroes to the middle class, to homeowners.
Yes, but there's an agenda there. There's an agenda that's going on.
Cut welfare.
The agenda is to create feudal societies again, wherein they were on top. If you do away with the police force, then who's going to be in charge? Your particular security force that you have for your gated community.
Big deal.
Correct?
Oh, big deal.
But that's what they want.
So what do you do with the criminals?
You are the criminal.
You mean if you're poor?
Yeah. So what do they do with it? Depending on what they want to do with it. Maybe they want to shoot them in the street. Who knows?
So,
but my point is that if you have no police force, you have no fire department, you, if you're part of them, have to depend on them. But you won't be part of them.
Interesting.
They don't care about a police force because they hire their own.
Okay.
To guard their gated community.
So the conservative...
What was that movie? Was that Blade Runner? Where New York, the whole thing was turned into a prison?
A penal colony?
Snake
Plissken, Kurt Russell. No, that was Escape from New York.
Okay.
With Kurt Russell. He played the role of Snake Plissken.
All right, so there you go. There's a future time when all of New York were prisoners.
And Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone was...
Or RoboCop, the same thing, when the corporations took over.
Yeah.
And they fired all the police. There was no police force per se because they wanted to do this cheaply with robots.
So I guess a conservative, before we leave, I guess a conservative Republican would consider a poor, hungry person that steals a loaf of bread
guilty of a high crime and a misdemeanor.
Or a felony. In other words...
Capital crime.
In other words, the conservative would consider him a criminal.
That's right.
For being hungry.
Anything that you did on Wall Street to gouge people or whatever, that was fine. That is fine. If it makes $1, it's fine. Even
the Bernard Madoffs of the world?
It's fine.
It's fine.
As long as it makes $1.
If you're making money. But if you're a poor slob that wants to survive and you steal, then you're bad. You're bad. You're a criminal.
That's correct.
Human nature. They'll get what they deserve, believe me. They will get what they deserve sooner or later. And you know what? Let it be, man, like the Beatles used to say.
Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whispering words of wisdom, let it be.
Oh, what a voice. What a heavenly voice, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. Say so long.
Hasta la vista.